Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a recent release, a book review of The House of Last Resort by Christopher Golden. Alright, let's chat about this book. I just finished it last night and I've taken a little bit of time to process my feelings because honestly I kind of had a little bit of a roller coaster situation with this book. But the longer that I sat on it, the more I just felt like I did have some problems with it. And they started out as kind of innocuous and they just got worse over time. So I'm gonna go over the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to this book. First of all, I have never read anything else by Christopher Golden, but I do think that his most well-known or popular work is All Hallows, which sounded like a very fun time, but I had heard some mixed reviews of it, so I never picked it up. But I didn't realize at the time when I picked this up that it was the same author, so I didn't read anything from him previously. This is my first time encountering his work, his style, and I think it'll probably be my last. This book follows a young American couple who have just been recently married and they decide to take a big leap of faith and move across the globe to Italy, to a small town, because this town was having some very odd deal in which they could actually buy a house for the cost of just €1. And it just so happened that the town in which was offering this deal was the town that the husband's family was a longtime resident of. So they just felt like it was very serendipitous to take this leap. Of course, when they get into their new home, they realize that things may not be exactly what they seem, and perhaps this deal really was too good to be true. This is your classic haunted house story. It has a very classic setup, a very simple introduction. I mean, it is very much the average haunted house story. On the one hand, I was very happy with the fact that in the first 50 pages, we really jump into exactly what the premise is. I am someone who does not really need a lot of setup. I'm like, let's get to that premise. Like, I don't really care, especially in like a little horror book. Like, I'm just like, let's get to the fun, let's get to the hauntings. And the good news is that it does really get to the point very quickly, and I absolutely appreciated that. And in the first, I'd say maybe first half of this book, I really was having a good time because it's set in Italy, the location's really fun, and it does give you everything that you need to be ready to have like a fun, spooky time. However, once it hits about that 50% mark, it just flattens out to the point where I really started to question whether Christopher Golden had even wanted to put in the work for this story. It really just felt like there was no effort put in, and that's where the start of my problems really happened. By the middle of this book, I was just so frustrated with how cliched and generic the whole thing felt. Really, I had a big problem in the beginning because the writing is just so bland, and I would even say poor at times. The dialogue is just it's just so bad. I really don't even have any other words to describe it. It's just so cringy, and the characters, you really just cannot get a sense of who they are. They are just cardboard cutouts, and they have no real personality to them. And then even if you have this vision of who they are, and then they'll say something that you're just like, I would never imagine this kind of person saying this thing. The dialogue is just horrible. It's just not good. It's just not good. And the rest of the writing is just very mediocre. This book, that's honestly what I would say about this book. It is painfully mediocre because I didn't hate it at first. At first I was like, okay, it's just a silly haunted house story. I'm just gonna have a fun, silly time. And I really was enjoying it. But really in the second half, I was like, I don't think this author cared one bit about writing this book. I really, really don't, because it's he kind of gives up. We get some fun little hauntings in the first 50 to 100 pages, and I'm like, yes, okay, let's go. And then it just completely falters out in the second half, and I don't want to continue on because I don't want to give more spoilers, but I don't really know that I would invest the time with this, but I will say that it did read very fast. So an upside of this is that I didn't spend that much time with it, and I didn't really feel like I had this like sunk cost issue with it. Like, I honestly, you could read this in like 2 sittings. It moves very, very quickly, but it's just like, I really expected more. And a big reason for why my expectations were so high is because this is an Aardvark book club pick. And I was under the impression that Aardvark was supposed to be the mark of quality. And to be honest, I just cannot understand how this book would have gotten chosen by Aardvark, because it is so bland. It is completely genre fiction. It does not try to talk about anything important in any type of way, but well, that's when we're going to get into the ugliness of this, because it does actually do something that actually fully put me off. But the fact that Aardvark thought that this was of high enough quality to include in their picks is just very, very shocking to me, because there's nothing that stands out about this book. This is completely bland, generic, cliched. It doesn't do anything new, and it doesn't even really push the boundaries in any kind of way. And now getting into the ugly, there is something that this book does. And at first, I really was giving it the benefit of the doubt, because I, again, had never read anything that Christopher Golden had written. And I was like, you know what? Maybe he does have something to say, and we just have to parse through it with the characters. But no, I don't think that anything in here was challenged in the way that I was expecting it to be challenged, especially from, again, an Aardvark book pick. So slight spoilers here if anybody cares, but one of the things that this couple decides that they need to do is they kind of take it upon themselves to revive this small Italian town. The issue that the town is having is that, like, people are moving away from this town because it has no economic growth, and that's why they're trying to sell these homes for €1, because they need a boost in their economy. They need people moving to this town to pump money into it. And this American couple like decide to take it upon themselves to revive the town and like jumpstart its tourism industry specifically. Like, they feel that the way that this town is going to thrive is via tourism, and they think that they themselves can create the tourist industry for this town, which is just so bizarre on so many levels, because neither of these people have any kind of background in tourism. So I don't know why they would go to that first. I don't know why they would feel the need to take that on themselves. And really, it just gives me a very icky vibe of these kind of like this, I don't know, like a white savior complex of this American couple coming into this town and just thinking that they can save it on their own. And it's not challenged in any way. I mean, the Italian people in this town, they do kind of like roll their eyes, I guess, a little bit. They're like, okay, good luck. But it is fully optimistic in this portrayal. And I'm not saying that like it's bad that these people would want to do this. I'm just saying it's very, I think, like egotistical of these people to think that they could be the reason that this town is saved. And they're not even actually going to the people of this town and being like, what would you want your town to look like? Like, just pumping a bunch of tourists into a town is not saving it. It's not making it better. It's just making it a tourist destination. And like, who would really want that for, like, is that what the people really want? They didn't even bother to ask. It's just weird. It's just really weird, in my opinion. And maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe Christopher Golden is trying to say that, like, maybe he intentionally made them egotistical. But the problem is that contextually, it's not clear as to what Christopher Golden actually believes about these people. I mean, the problem is that there's no commentary on it. Nobody challenges them in a significant way. Nobody like has any backlash to this situation. The town seems like, okay, we'll just do whatever you want. Like, it's very weird, and I got a very icky feeling from it. And also, it was that storyline completely detracted from the fun hauntings that we were supposed to get. And like I said, I just felt like the book kind of just took a really annoying turn, and I feel like I was having fun in the first half, but by the second half, I was just like, this is boring, bland, like, no, I'm done. I don't think it really did anything interesting with its premise, and you know what? I'm sounding very, very negative, I understand that, but I truly didn't like completely hate this. I just hated how it was an Aardvark book pick, to be honest. Like if I would have gotten this book like from the library, if I would have been like, okay, this is just a piece of genre fiction, I don't expect much from it, I probably would have just been like, yeah, I mean, that sucked and I kind of expected it to suck, but you know, it was like at least a quick read. But the fact that Aardvark chose this, that is concerning to me. It's concerning to me, I'm not gonna lie. So I had higher hopes. It's not the worst thing that I've ever read, and you know what? If you want a haunted house story set in Italy, I guess like there is some merit to it, but it's like there's probably so many other books you could read besides this one. It's just not, it's not doing anything with the setup. It's not challenging the haunted house trope in any way. It's not doing anything even with its Italian location, I really wouldn't say. So sorry to say, but this was kind of a flop, and I will be unhauling it and probably not picking up anything else from Christopher Golden, but you know, that's just my opinion. If you loved it, I'm happy for you, but I would also not be surprised if this book completely disappears forever and no one remembers it. So there's that. That's my review of The House of Last Resort. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you read this? What did you think? And I hope to see you back here next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.